Hello YouTubies, this is King Scribe and thank you for watching this YouTube video. And I'll be honest here, I really enjoyed the Caretaker episode of Doctor Who this week. Really enjoyed it. One of the better ones. I wouldn't say it's the strongest, but it's certainly one of the most interesting ones. It was simple and yet complicated enough for people to like and understand. Now, let me get to the Doctor's character. This Doctor's character is starting to really build up now. We're starting to see the disconnection between humanity and himself, which has always been present in every single Doctor. We can give many examples of that. When Donna Noble slapped the Doctor, which was David Tennant, who was probably the most human Doctor out of the whole lot of them, but he still had times where he would disconnect from humanity. And I thought it was always a mistake for him to be too human. And obviously on this Doctor he isn't. It's obvious he's a Time Lord, which is what he is. Now, after watching this episode, there was so much in this episode that I enjoyed. So many things. The monster itself, which was just a robot, was rather simple, but it was able to, teleport other places, move about, and it was threatening enough. And I have to say, the character of Pink has been much improved this week in comparison to the past weeks, in which I found him really annoying. I found the character so flawed, so unpredictable and strange that I couldn't actually warm up to him originally. But this week he proved himself, and this is the one thing I don't like. I don't like them building a character. I mean, to show, oh, he's weak and all this in a sort of contrived way, just so they can solve it by making him into a hero later. But this week he seemed to come out of his shell a little bit, and it was much improved, especially for what we're going to see from in the future. So he's going to be part of the team for the Doctor now, which is great. I have no problems with that. I did have my reservations, but at the moment he seems okay, and at least Clara's calmed down a bit too. It's not just after somebody just because they might look hot. I don't know what she thinks, but maybe she thinks, yeah, I want a big, big, big one. And I think that's what she's probably thinking. But yeah, it did work. That was very good. And the Caretaker, him as a Caretaker, was absolutely hilarious. And he does have, the Doctor now has a sort of sense of humour in a way. He has that laughing sort of side of him. I love when he was with Clara and the other teacher came up to Clara and started talking. He went, oh no, don't bother with me. I like this. Yeah, good luck, Clara. Your future husband there you're speaking to, he actually mistaked them for being courting in that way. So he thought that these two teachers were doing it, and he thought, oh, I'll have to step back there. He seems good enough for Clara. And a few minutes later, the other guy wasn't good enough. So mainly because he was a soldier, and that does make sense. Now, there was a part of it where I think a lot of Whovians, that you know who you are going to have a problem with. Alright? And it's worth clicking for the Tardis doors. Now, David Tennant had to learn how to click. He was the Doctor. So Clara doing that and understanding how to open the Tardis doors when they're connected, the Tardis with the Doctor. Now I understand in some ways the Tardis is connected to Clara in some ways through some type of weird paradox. But is that enough to explain why she can click a TARDIS door open with her fingers, or has the Doctor programmed it so that Clara can do that? Either way, it's probably a mistake. I'm not sure how I can explain that one, but it should only be the Doctor who can do that. But maybe in case she needs to run to safety. But what happens if she goes rogue? You never know what happened with time travel. So that was a little bit like that, but it was something that I think people out there on YouTube might pick up on. The story was ever so sweet. I really liked it. I liked the girl coming in and being inquisitive and wondering what the Tardis is and saying, that doesn't make sense. She actually looked past the delusion of, the Doctor explained a while ago that it's sort of disguised in your head. You're looking at it but you don't realise you see it. So they look at the police box and don't actually realise they're seeing it. If you look at the one of the first episodes of 2005, when the TARDIS is there and most people don't actually see the TARDIS, is because it is disguised, and it's not just by the the phone box. It's because people just don't really register it's happening. I forget what it's called. I mean, it's been a long time since that thing has come back in. But she actually saw through it, which means there could be more to her. Now, I want to talk about the ending as well. I really like this. I like this build-up. I thought he was going to hell. I thought my prediction was going to be right. And you said, well, you've been a bad boy. Hell's waiting for you. I thought that was going to happen. So maybe there is more to this. Maybe this is true heaven and hell stuff. Who knows? I mean, people saying it's another TARDIS, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. And the very fact that it was another bloke talking to the man means that she wasn't pleased with what the bloke had done. So the other bloke was talking to him. But I do wish that there was a hell in this. And I'm expecting it's going to be. And it depends on how bad somebody's been. The evil guys go to hell. I mean, paradise, you have to do something good. Maybe the policeman was good. I mean, he told some teenagers off, and maybe he was showing his authority a little bit. But was he really bad? No, not really. It was just a little bit on a power trip. Now, that doesn't mean somebody should be burning in hell for all eternity. I mean, what am I trying to say here? Just put somebody in hell just because they've told a few teenagers off who have been naughty and should not be sitting on steps when they should be in school. He's just doing his job, basically. I think I sort of missed that. It's just that the way he approached him was a bit arrogant, as if he's trying on a power trip. But anyway, that was kind of interesting. And Clara is... she's coming on quite well. I really like when she's coming into the dates and all that. She's soaking wet after going into seaweed and all this shit. It does seem to apply to some of her adventures quite a lot. I like that sort of thing in Doctor Who, and I mean, I don't want to say what I want to say on video because I think some people might find it offensive. I mean, the 9 o'clock watershed is gone now because Doctor Who's just finished, but I think some men would actually kind of think, yeah, she's all wet, Clara, yay. But it's done a good job this week. It was very simple and it worked. And for once, the characters with Stephen Moffat seem to gel quite nicely. I mean, there should be some conflict, and there was, but it worked. It was well written. Now, I'm not sure who wrote the episode, and maybe we'll have some surprises there that was somebody else. So I'm not going to go too far into that, but I'm really happy that some of the things I said in the past on YouTube, back on the previous channel, and even here, about, it should go into a religious feel for Doctor Who, is now being felt in Doctor Who. It shows one thing, right? If you want something hard enough, and you say it enough to enough people, and you talk about it, and you're passionate enough about it, sometimes it has that influence on the things you're talking about. For whatever reason, it might just be because I don't know I don't know how this actually works, but when you're passionate about something, it does affect the thing you're passionate about. It does have that sort of charge about it where it actually does something. So if you're talking about Omega returning all the time, the chances are that Omega will be returning because you've talked about it enough and other people have listened to it and they want Omega to return, and the Doctor team think, we need to do this. It's a good idea. Why not? So what would I give this episode, this particular episode of Caretaker, which I think was just a great standalone episode in itself. 8 out of 10. I mean, it's not perfect, of course, but nothing has to be perfect, you know. I can settle for an 8 out of 10 every single week. If every single week is an 8 out of 10, I can settle for that. No problem at all. I don't mind about that. If everything's like that, fine. I think everybody will be pleased with it. And it was, the Doctor is actually coming out of his shell as well. I love the way he acts in this. You know, he's a bit clumsy at time, and Matt Smith was a bit like that. But I think some of it seems a little bit contrived in areas. I don't mean to be rude about Peter Capaldi, but it seems to be forced. You know, suddenly, you know, you've gone from David Tennant into this Doctor that basically doesn't understand anything about humans. Now, when I was talking about in the past, I like that. I like what they're doing. I like the approach, by the way. But when I was talking about this in the past, about how a Doctor should never reach full human capacity because he isn't a human, he's a Time Lord. What I mean is, have a look at any culture in the world. You can get people who were born in Asia, right? And they come into our country, like the UK or America, in the 20s, and 60 years later, you can still tell, not just by the looks of them, by the way they are, that they kept some of their culture within them. And they still make mistakes in comparison to our own culture. So they still make mistakes in how to treat people based on their culture. It's hard to actually explain, but you know, we can be offensive now and again to some people because we don't actually understand their culture, and it's an accident. You know, it's not intended to be rude. I mean, for instance, I went to a church, a Catholic church, and I didn't know the ins and outs of it, so I was just going down there with a friend, and I decided to go up and get some wine and bread. Why not? And this is the type of thing the Doctor would do. I understood that you have to queue for it, and I didn't realise you have to actually be baptised and all that. But I thought, well, I must have been in the past. Okay, fair enough. Let's say I've been baptised, and then the priest started handing me the stuff, a bit of bread, and I went, "Thank you." You're not supposed to say thank you, but that is me, and I was born on Earth, right? So can you imagine a Time Lord who has been born elsewhere in the galaxy, and he might have some experience with humans, but he's had experience with all different types of cultures, all different types of aliens for thousands of years. He too is going to make mistakes like that. He's going to make the odd mistake. He's not going to understand, why do you have 3 mirrors? What's that about? So this is the sort of thing we want to see with Doctor Who. And I like the way he commands, you know, some people, you know, so, get out my TARDIS, go on, get out. I mean, I would have chucked him out the TARDIS if he was like acting like he was the week before, you know, Pink. But he was good. It was a good episode this week. All right. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye for now. See you later.